Hi, and welcome to Alaskan in the Philippines, currently in Thailand. I've been asked a lot about what I didn't like about living in the Philippines. So I took a moment yesterday or the day before and I just thought about it. I thought, well, I should just jot down a few things to mention in the next upcoming video. And I started jotting things down and I was surprised myself at how quickly I filled up a sheet of paper, a small sheet of paper though. And I don't mean to bash the Philippines. The Philippines is a developing country, just like all of them. They have their ups and downs, and I can find some of these places, some of these problems here in Thailand for sure. I'm just talking about from where I am. I'm not talking about comparing Manila to Bangkok either, the slums and all that there. I'm just talking about this mid-sized city that I've lived in here in Hue Hin and the mid-sized city of Dumaguete I've lived in and spent quite a bit of time around. And I've been living here and I'm not missing some of these things. So I had to actually think about it and write them down. So I'll go through a few of them if you want to entertain me. I think once again, I'm not bashing solely the Philippines because some of these can be found in Thailand. I'm just comparing to where I am compared to where I was. So here we go. Things I didn't like about the Philippines. Number one was none of these are in a special numerical order, but anyway, the first one is the dogs. There's just a huge abundance of dogs, and a lot of them are very mangy. Their skin, just no hair on them, and many of them have been hit by cars or bikes, and they're semi-crippled and stuff, or they'll be hit and laying dead in the road too. They're all over. They're a driving hazard for anybody that's trying to drive there. They're constantly just standing in the streets. And this was all over Dumaguete, Valencia area. There's no dog control. They breed. And there's a lot of them are starving. They don't act starving. They're probably just skinny. They eat bugs and rice and grass. Same with the cats. There's a lot of wild cats there. And that's what they eat mostly when they feed a cat, they'll feed it rice. And the cat will love it. It'll come up and eat the rice. Thinks it's its food. I tried to give a piece of chicken to one and it didn't know what to do with it. And when I gave it threw down rice, it went around right over and ate it. So yeah, and it's a problem. These dogs and cats are all over. That particular cat had 3 legs and was pregnant. It was just looked like a young kitten too. And here it was all ballooned up, ready to give birth itself. So yeah, the dogging problem in the Dumaguete area is just terrible to see it. You'd think they'd collect a few of them off the streets just to make the driving not so hazardous, but they're there and they're all over the roads, sidewalks, they lay right in the roads. Some are hit and laying in the roads for days. They just leave them. They don't really have a pickup service for them either, so it can be nasty. Here the dogs, if you compare it, the dogs here, they actually all have collars on them and they're well fed and taken care of, and I haven't seen any mange, and there's not very many of them. You'll see a half a dozen of them in a day walking around, but you don't see them like in the Philippines where they're just everywhere. Packs of them, you'll see packs of them running around the Philippines. Some are mean. I had to pick up a rock. A guy in front of me got attacked by a dog. I had to pick up a rock and throw it hit the dog. And the guy kind of was thankful for it. Well, anyway, that's one of them. And then, moving along, roosters. The roosters there, constant screaming of roosters. Anywhere you are, almost in the Dumaguete area, Valencia area, everybody raises specifically roosters because of the cockfighting, and they're worth money. So anytime they hatch chicks, all the hens will be eaten, but the roosters are all saved, and they raise them, and they'll have a yard full, and they'll tie a string around their leg and a stake, and they'll just sit there, give them a perch, usually a motorcycle tire on a stick, and the roosters will sit there, and they can just go in that little area, and they'll feed them a little bit, keep them. When they get big enough, they'll sell them. But the whole morning starting, and they do it anytime. They'll do it in the evening. You hear them start up at 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. You'll start hearing the first ones crowing. And then by 6 o'clock, it's a constant scream, just rah, 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 all of them. Anywhere you are, just about. And if that'll bother you. And all the dogs, too, were making barking noises, too. So they're very noisy, too. So you got the dogs and the roosters all screaming. So it can be very noisy trying to sleep there in the Philippines, where I was anyway. And I was so close to the road. There was a lot of, this wasn't one of my things, but there's also a lot of loud motorcycles in the Philippines compared to here in Thailand. You hear them riding by with straight pipes, and I could hear them. It would drown out my TV, and I was 100 yards from the road. So, or maybe 50. So yeah, it was loud. The motorcycles were loud too. I forgot about that. And moving right along to healthcare, I specifically knew I had to I was going to get my hernia fixed, and I was debating getting it done in the Philippines, and I was reading some reviews on some things, and people were talking infections and stuff when the hospital was there in the Philippines. Maybe it was the environment. I don't know if it was probably them sweating or getting it wet too. That could do it. But I heard some of them people say they had infection problems getting the operations in the Philippines. So I chose to do it here in Thailand, and I'm glad I did. I got professional care, so that was great, and it worked out great and cheap. It was very cheap, and the healthcare was state of the art, just right up in par with the U.S. probably. So that was another thing I didn't so much care for in the Philippines. The bureaucracy in the Philippines just went, it's just sometimes they just make life hard for the citizens there, especially for people trying to work, like this local citizens trying to travel and stuff for work. They have to, or even to get a job, you have to be a college degree to run a counter there. It's just, they really strict with the regulations. During COVID, other than China, the Philippines was the strictest COVID. They had to get a pass to leave the neighborhood to go to the store. They had to put a piece of plastic in between the motorcycle driver and the passenger. They just went crazy with the COVID. And I wouldn't want to get stuck there again if it ever happened again. You still see half the population there wearing masks. Same as they do in Thailand here. They wear masks here. Even in Thailand, they're wearing probably half the population, or a third of them wear masks still. And this is clean air here. There's no smog or nothing. This is clean, pretty healthy air. But everyone chooses to wear a mask. Craziness set into Asia with that COVID. But yeah, don't get caught in the Philippines during a pandemic. They really went overboard. They were one of the strictest countries, and they couldn't get in or out either. Anyway, and then the slow mail takes 3 months for a package. If you're trying to send, you can send it express mail. It don't matter. If you're sending a box, you can send it express. It'll be in the Philippines in a day or two, but it'll sit in the customs and immigration for 3 months before before the box will get to the destination there in the Philippines. And hopefully it didn't get robbed, because they do kind of dig in the mail. They say that also the credit cards, if you try to send the credit cards, they say they won't show up. And there was a guy that I had his credit card when I was in Dumaguete. He had a new one sent to him, and I told him they don't make it. I heard they don't make it, and sure enough, it never did make it. I watched him, I told him, and they even activated it for him. I told him, you better deactivate that. That's not going to make it to you. And it's true, and he did. And actually, that's one of the things too. I've sent several boxes to the Philippines, and it always took 3 months. U.S. priority mail, and it cost $100 for a flat rate box at the time. That was a couple of years ago, so I bet it's more than that. It cost like $110 maybe for a large flat rate box from Alaska to the Dumaguete. 100 and some bucks. Took 3 months every time I tried it. Slow mail. I don't know. I haven't tried it in Thailand, but I'm sure it's a lot faster than that. And I noticed they have some express service here too. So, and then the bad air in the Philippines. In Dumaguete, they burn trash. They'll burn their trash. They burn the leaves, and everybody's using cooking on fires. There's still probably half the population's cooking on fire or more in Dumaguete. So at dinner time, it smokes up the whole city. And in the morning, the whole city smokes up. If it's calm, it just hangs in the air, smoke. And the soot actually would be in the building, because I leave the doors open where I was living there. And I would wipe my counter and stuff, and I'd have soot on my fingers. Same with the back patio. I'd walk, my feet would always be black. I had to wear slippers or indoors, shower shoes. So, because it was always making my feet black. So the pollution in the air, and people burn their plastic. Your neighbor could start burning a bunch of plastic. I once walked by a fruit and vegetable stand, and the lady was just, they sweep up the leaves. They got these wicker brooms that sweep up the leaves, and they'll burn them every morning. They do it, and they'll throw in any trash that they have too. So there's a pile of leaves burning right next to the vegetable stand, and they had plastic bottles in it they were burning too. So it was all this plastic smoke going right into their, they're just not thinking, you know. But anyway, yeah, the smoke is a problem. Places in Thailand, I'm not cutting Thailand out, but here we have nice clean air, no smoke. Like up north, Chiang Mai, they have the problem. Bangkok has a smog problem. So yeah, these are things to think about. They share in Thailand. Of course, Manila has the problem. I'm comparing, remember here, Hue Hin. So we have clean air here, and the water. The water is pretty clean here. Of course, we can't drink it here, same as you can't in the Philippines. It comes out of the faucet. It don't smell bad or anything. And the same in the Philippines. It don't smell bad coming out of the faucet or anything. But the beach there in Dumaguete was, they dumped the raw sewage in from all the hotels right there on the beach, go straight into the Dumaguete boardwalk there, the boulevard, and you walk along the boulevard, and there's a definite stench in the air from this raw sewage, especially at low tide. So you can't really get to the beach either. There's no real walking on the beach right there in Dumaguete. You have to go out of town a little ways or down to Darwin. But then the beach water does get clean down there, and it's nice and it's beautiful and it's great diving. There's actually some of the world-class diving right out of there. If you take a boat out and go right out, or even from shore in some places, it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I don't know, there might be diving and snorkeling here. I haven't gotten in the water because of the jellyfish. That's a downside here. I'm sure they have them there too, but I swam there. I didn't have problems with jellyfish there, maybe. And anyway, moving along, the food choices in the Philippines are very limited. And when you go in, sometimes half the menu is out of stock. They don't have this, that, or this. And so you're stuck with whatever they kind of have. And it's just a lot of it's Filipino food. It's getting better. I noticed this time I went back, there's getting to be a lot more restaurant choices and stuff. But here in Hue Hin, the markets just are full of food stalls that are just cooking fresh, great food, shrimp, oysters on the shell, duck hanging, Peking duck, crispy pork, just everywhere. And it's high class. Everything's on ice. Everything's cooled. You don't see it like in the Philippines. None of the fish they're selling is nothing. None of the food is kept hot, and none of it's kept cold. The watermelons are warm and everything, you know, if you're going to order a piece of it. So yeah, it's something to think about. But the food choices here in Dumaguete, and after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, everything kind of shuts down. So there's really even less the food. There's really no evening food courts other than the balut stands on the boulevard that just serve balut, and they just serve tempura. Balut and vegetable tempura is what they mostly sell. I think some of them have shrimp, maybe, I don't know. But that's all you can get down there for street food, basically. Or you can get that tondo, whatever. They'll have chicken guts on a stick and chicken on a stick and pork on a stick. Those are pretty good, and they're really reasonably priced. So if you can find them, they're usually stands all over the town too of those. So yeah, they have those, but that's all the limited: chicken guts, chicken feet, chicken heads, pork, and chicken on a stick on that order. They'll have everything from a chicken on a stick. No kidding. The guts, I liked them. They were very good. Yeah, but moving right along, not many food choices. And then also not many housing choices. I had a very difficult time finding where I was going to stay. And I actually got World Zoom, if you remember him, Paul. I don't know, he used to post again, but he stopped again. He had a tough time there in the Philippines. But yeah, I stayed in his room, and it took me a while to find it. I just had to actually go out there, and they wouldn't answer the phone or anything. And everything else was pretty booked up. There wasn't many choices. I would have had to live way out of town. In fact, this was way out of town. This was halfway to Valencia, where I lived, and the rent was $420 a month. It was a pretty nice place. I liked it. It was big, spacious, had a nice bed, nice TV, had a nice patio with a nice gas burner out there. I really liked that burner. It was fully furnished with pots, pans, all the dishes. Here I got just kind of a crappy deal on the cooking, but I'm going to find a better place. And then the only condo is a spatial marina there, and I stayed in there for 1 month actually, and it was like $450 for a 2-bedroom cubicle. It was really small and claustrophobic. I didn't care for it. It had some windows, and there was construction going on right next door, so it was loud every day with construction going on. That sucked. I didn't like that one bit. So yeah, and I wouldn't stay there again. So I had found that place. Luckily I did, but again, that was halfway to Valencia. We could get to town in a trike cheap, but when I had to get back, it would cost me about $3 or $4 every time I had to go shopping. Here I can go shopping, walking, go to the beach walking. I can go anywhere walking here. Go to immigration walking. Go to 2 malls, 3 malls walking. Burger King, McDonald's, walk, and it ain't far. But that's one thing. And then the no housing choices. And then, I don't know if many of you know this, in the Philippines, you need to get a security clearance to leave. You got to go in and kind of at 6 months and get an FBI background check before they'll let you out of the Philippines. Of course, you do have to get a kind of a clearance to leave anyway, but you have to get an actual background check in advance to leave once you're there 6 months. So keep that in mind if you've got any hidden secrets. And if immigration ever does get you, like that World Zoom guy, they got him just on a false charge, I guess, or an old charge. It was an old charge that some vlogger turned him in on, and they got him in immigration detention, and they kept him there for 4 months, extorting him for money. It was a bad situation for him, and you don't want to get something like that. And that's just leads me into another one, ridiculous laws. They have ridiculous laws in the Philippines. It's against the law to cheat on your wife, or if you get caught cheating on your wife, they can put you in jail. She can put you in jail. If your wife has enough money and you threatened her or something, she's got a good lawyer, she can put you in jail. They can put you in jail for anything, just about. You can argue with a shopkeeper, and you can have charges put on you and put in jail. That Tim K out in the Philippines happened to him. He got argument with a shopkeeper, and their cops were coming to his door looking for him. And they can do that. If you embarrass somebody in public, that's a crime in the Philippines. You can go to jail. So if somebody's got money and wants you in jail, they can. So the ridiculous laws. I don't think they have ridiculous laws here in the Philippines. Or in Thailand, you get taken to the police station, you probably get your day in court pretty quick, and they figure out whether you're leaving, kicking you out, or throwing you in jail for a serious charge. It probably don't know lollygagging about it, but they had that guy for 4 months, damn, in a pretty bad, tough situation. And then the corruption, that's what I'm saying. There's one of them too, corruption. And then the next one is a thanklessness of the Filipinas. They tend to, you can help them and help them and help them. And I helped a few of them through the years. And every one of them in the end never appreciated it one bit, not even a little bit. Keep that in mind. I don't have that to compare with Thai women yet, but I don't think they're like that quite that way. And the power outages, moving right along to the power outages. In the Philippines, they'd have 1 or 2 a week generally, and then a couple times a month they'd have a planned power outage all day for Sundays, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. power outage. And it was for real. And the power would be out all day. They have to trim the wires. The jungle growth overtakes the wires. I see it here in Thailand too, but the Philippines is a real jungle. It's a rainforest there in Dumaguete, so the jungle is constantly overtaking the power lines, and they have to chop it back. I see them doing it, and they have to do it here. I think that's part of the problem. I don't know. Or monkeys and squirrels get rats up the power lines, getting fried too. I hear transformers blow in the Philippines a few times. Boom! And the power's out. Yeah, so it's the power outages is one of them, and not a one here. Actually, I was in the mall once here in Lotus food market, and the lights blinked off for about 3 seconds. And everybody gasped. Ah! They never had a power outage before, and it blinked right back on. It probably was the mall's power. I don't even think it was the Thai's city power. The malls probably have their own power generators, so that's what I think. But that was the only blip I've ever seen in almost 3 months here. Not a one. I don't expect any more either. So the power outages is one, and then the beggars. I've actually ran into like just one or two, and they were both crazy people or mentally ill young girl. I was actually talking to a guy that recognized me off YouTube here one time, and me and him were chatting down the road and on the highway, and a girl pulled up on a bike and asked us for money. She needed something. She was speaking Thai, but she seemed desperately needed a little money to do something. So she gave her 20 baht or something, I think. Helped her out. She was happy, drove away, and then another guy I gave money to before. So it's just a couple of beggars. But in the Philippines, everywhere you go, you'll see beggars. Most places downtown, along the boulevard, you'll be old, young. They actually have professional beggars that actually travel around, gypsy beggars, and they'll be professional beggars. If they look dirty, they'll take off their shoes and put dirt on themselves and make themselves, and they'll beg, and it's a profession. There's a whole bunch of them that do it there, and it gets annoying after a while. I don't mind helping the ones that truly need it, but the professional ones, I don't like to, because if you do, man, if you give one of them money, they'll just descend on you. They did it to me before. I gave one money, and I had 20 of them coming at me. I was scared the little girl and everything. It was not a good deal. So yeah, the beggars. So you won't see that here in Hue Hin anyway. Maybe in Bangkok you will. I'm not talking there, and I'm not talking Manila. But it was very prevalent in the Dumaguete area. There was beggars all over, and it was every mall you walk into, there was a few beggars out in front. There was any McDonald's, there was a few hanging out, or across the street. Anywhere in the main squares, there was always some beggars. So that's something you have to mentally deal with too, the poverty there. You see it, it's more poverty than here. It seems to me more desperate than here is my thing anyway. And in the slums in Dumaguete, right behind the beautiful boardwalk they put in, the boulevard, there's a shanty town. They call it squatter village. It's the poor people. They just build little shanty towns, and they generally, it's right behind. I don't know, there's one in Cebu's, of course, but the one in Dumaguete is right behind. There's probably more than that. It's just the ones I see. They'll bang up a house wherever there's an empty space or a lot that nobody's watching, and they'll squat on it. But there's a whole city of it right down behind the boardwalk and boulevard there, in Dumaguete on the beach. And that comes with all the smoke from the cooking and then the raw sewage that comes out too. They actually have a lagoon there of raw sewage, kind of. And that's right behind their beautiful boardwalk, so that's another thing. And that's just one thing. There ain't nothing here. For so far in Hue Hin, I've seen nothing but just beautiful neighborhoods. Just beautiful. You walk in the neighborhood just right the block over, it's got $1 million houses. And anywhere I was staying, there's just beautiful properties everywhere. Gated, beautiful properties right around everywhere I am. There's no shanty towns. I haven't seen one dilapidated house yet. Not even a dilapidated one. So everybody lives in a normal middle-class house as far as I can see. I'm still exploring, but I haven't seen any slum areas yet. Maybe there are some, I don't know, but I haven't seen any here. No beggars and no slums. So moving right along, the out of stock. You go into, like I was saying, on a menu, you go in and there's out of stock. Or if you go into a grocery store and there's something like you really wanted, like, oh wow, they got cream cheese today, I'll buy a couple of blocks of cream cheese or something. You go back the next day and it's gone, and there's no more, and there won't be any more for a long time. Out of stock, sir, sorry. And that could be anything. And the traffic in the Philippines is very crowded in Dumaguete with a heavy traffic. Even the side streets are just packed with traffic, and it's all these trikes. It's all you got are these tricycles and motorbikes. There's getting to be more cars too, and then mixed in with the cars and trucks and semis. There's no zoning, so you'll get an 18-wheeler going right down a little narrow road, residential roads and stuff, even if you live on that road, rattling by, shake everything in the house. So yeah, that's another thing. The traffic is just a snarl of those trikes at the intersections in downtown Dumaguete. You get to an intersection at lunchtime or evening time, it's just one giant snarl, and they're all trying to butt into each other. It's just crazy. And then their exhaust is blowing in your face and you're stuck in it, and it actually make you sick if you're behind like a truck or something. They don't have clean gas and diesel there. They have all the sulfur in it still, so it really smokes bad. No catalytic converters or nothing, so it's nasty. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I'll end it with one more thing, is that there was no evening activities other than to just walk on the boulevard and walk around and walk past and do a square. It's probably a mile long if you walk the whole thing. You can get some exercise. And if it's at night, it's lit up with lamps, so it ain't too bad. The cobbled brick is all kind of uneven and worn away, so it's kind of make you stumble walking on it in the dark. I see a lot of rats on the boulevard. They live right there, a whole bunch of them. They're running around all over. I see rats. I seen just one here in Hoi Hin so far. There's a lot of cockroaches in the Domageti area. There's a few here. I see some big ones here. Not as many, but they're here too. So anyway, that's just a list of things that I've noticed compared to here that I'm not missing in Dumaguete, Philippines. And those are some of those and part of it where I lived was so far out of town that it was kind of in the middle. I had to actually make an effort to go down and walk around on the boulevard. Otherwise, it really wasn't safe where I walked around. A lot of mean dogs, bad road, ditches, hard to walk because of a concrete ditch on both sides and just a narrow strip of concrete to walk down, and traffic zooming by at 50, 70 miles an hour. It was scary. And I knew I'd probably get hit. And it's kind of scary to walk here too, but it was tough. And I can at least walk to the beach here and have free walking there anyway. But anyway, those are a few things I didn't like about living in the Philippines. Not meant to bash the Philippines. And in Thailand, we'll probably have some of the same problems. There's actually probably beautiful, beautiful beaches, and I know there is in the Philippines, and you could find the perfect paradise over there too. If you looked hard and you found the right woman and got hooked in with some girl that owned a beachfront banana farm with coconut trees, you would be in heaven, really, if you could find that perfect situation. Good luck to you if you can. I couldn't. But anyway, I wouldn't say I'd never go back to the Philippines. I might, but so far here, I like it here much better, and I'm going to stay. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.